Hello. In today's video, I'm going to just teach you how to get started taking notes in Capstone with your Padlet. After today, I'm going to go back into note taking and review what we learned with human rights. But today is just a quick how to get started with it. So there's 4 main steps. Number 1 is you're going to open your article or video. So let me do that. I go to my capstone that I kind of made look different. I think I'm going to do a video today. I'm going to do this Ted Ed's Atlantic slave trade one. Okay, so I open it. I let it load. Okay, there it is. Now let's see what the next step is. Stop often to think. Okay, so I'm going to watch this.
Slavery, the treatment of human beings as property, deprived of personal rights, has occurred in many forms throughout the world. But one institution stands out for both its global scale and its lasting legacy: the Atlantic slave trade, occurring from the late 15th to the mid-19th century.
So I'm stopping a lot. I'm remembering that we were learning about the Atlantic slave trade. So this is the same thing.
And spanning 3 continents, forcibly brought more than 10 million Africans to the Americas. The impact it would leave
So the slave trade brought 10 million Africans. Wow.
did not only these slaves and their descendants, but the economies and histories of large parts of the world. There had been centuries of contact between Europe and Africa via the Mediterranean, but the Atlantic slave trade began in the late 1400s with Portuguese colonies in West Africa and Spanish settlement of the Americas shortly after. The crops grown in the new colonies, sugarcane, tobacco, and cotton, were labor-intensive, and there were not enough settlers or indentured servants to cultivate all the new land. American natives were enslaved, but many died from new diseases, while others
So that I knew. I knew that they tried to enslave Native Americans, but they died. Didn't realize, though, that it started with the Portuguese settlements in Africa and then the Spanish settlements in North America.
effectively resisted. And so, to meet the massive demand for labor, the Europeans looked to Africa. African slavery had existed for centuries in various.
So we're going to pretend I watched the whole video, right? But what you see me doing is you see me stopping often to think, okay? Then what I want you to do is I want you to, after you've done that, you've worked your way through an article or you've worked your way through a video, I want you to go back through it and watch it again or read it again. Now, if you're reading, you can go a little bit faster, but you need to make sure that you're taking this in, that you're not just like, ooh, and I'm not there to like make sure you're understanding something, make sure you're like getting it. So one of the only ways to do this is to read and watch things twice. So you're going to rewatch or reread and then write what you need to remember later. So it might not just be things that you learn new. It might be big ideas that you already knew but are important to this. So here's the new thing. What you do is you go to your Padlet and you go to the article and you're going to hit the 3 dots and you hit edit post. Okay. And now under the title, I'm allowed to write. So I'm just going to write important parts to remember. 1. Europeans tried to enslave Native Americans, but they got sick and died. The slave trade brought more than 10 million Africans. The Atlantic slave trade started with the Portuguese and Spanish. Okay. I'm sure that's not spelled right, but whatever. Okay. So you see what I'm doing here? And then I click outside of it and my notes are created. And look, I have the article and I have my note, and it's always attached. And I can move it if I ever want to categorize it later. I can move it. But now I'm always going to remember the important things with this article. And notice I only watched 1 minute and 30 seconds and I had that much to write. So you can imagine you're going to have to write a lot for each thing, but you're only going to do one video or one article per day. And these are your notes. Okay. And I think it'll be pretty easy to keep track of. All right. Thank you.